Okay, so we again have a video of 1.5 hour long, and we've already talked about it. We are gonna put the eye in the eye socket, and as you can see, I have pasted the eye. By the way, this is actually so awesome. You can just copy the eyeball and just paste it in here. By the way, I have adjusted the size of the eyeball, which I have not shown you in the video. I should have shown you, but you know how we basically resize things in Blender, right? So this is like 24 mm diameter eyeball, and you can see that I also have it parented. Okay, so this is important. I am rotating it outwards on 2.5 degrees, so 2.5 degree rotation on the z-axis, so that the eye would slightly angle towards a bit outwards. I really hope that made sense. That was really bad English, but you get the idea, right? And the idea is actually the real eyeball is also a bit outwards. Like whenever you see an eyeball of a real person, even if the person is looking straight, sometimes the eyeballs does tend to have this direction of outwardness. So that's what I'm actually trying to achieve here. It also makes the eyeball looks a bit more natural. Actually, you've seen the model, you've seen the render, and the eyes are definitely looking much more natural this way. And now what I'm doing, I think I'm just gonna do the mirroring, because I think the eyes are actually adjusted. Not right now, I'm still adjusting the eyes. Okay. Yep. Adjusting it. So you can see the position of the eyeball. Like you cannot see the upper part of the pupil as much as you can see the lower part, and that is how your eyeballs should be, right? And also you can see it in the reference, like the references that you have, how the eyeballs are. Okay, right now I'm using the mirror modifier, and I am using the base mesh of our character as a mirroring object. And yeah, I have also copied the modifier to the iris. So now that we have the eyeballs, it's gonna be easier for us to create the eyes. Obviously we're gonna have to do some of the sculpting to make it look a bit better. And now I am adjusting the eyeball looking at the references. So this is also one of those things. I am only going to move the eyeballs. I'm not going to be rotating it, just in case if you are wondering, because 2.4 is going to be good enough of a rotation. Now I can just try and adjust the eyelids around the eyeball. So this is pretty easy actually. You just have to adjust your eyelids. So it's not like rocket science. I have not said the rocket science correctly, so I'm just gonna say it again. It is not a rocket science, okay? So I think everyone can do it. I don't really need to explain that. I'm just trying to make sure that the eyelids basically surround the eyeball, right? And that's what the motivation is right now. Not the motivation, but that's what the idea is right now, not the motivation. The motivation is to sell this course and make a whole lot of money, but we're gonna talk about that later. I don't know how many people are gonna buy it, by the way, because this is my first time. But we'll see. I really hope that this course does actually give you enough information that it would be worth the price that I am gonna set. I have no idea, but by the way, how much would be the price of this course. But yes, we'll see. So now that we have adjusted the eyes, I have gone back to, adding and subtracting volumes. And this is actually pretty nice that we have the eyeballs. He is definitely looking much better now. Okay, so the nose, I've realized that the nose are actually asymmetrical, and if you were to just adjust the left side, like we've just done this, like we just did right now, the right side is gonna get regged. So we have to break the symmetry in order to do the nose. But right now I am just like doing basically everything that I possibly can before the breaking of the symmetry. Okay, so this is kind of only for the marking the carancula part, because we're gonna be making a different carancula. This is only for the sake of having something there, so that it would be easier for us to judge the likeness, right? This is not the final carancula, so yeah, this is only place, what do you call it? A placemaker? No, not the placemaker. I've forgotten the word, but this coroncula is only on the place of real one. You get the idea, right? Okay, adjusting the nose. Pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, basically, I'm just gonna do the same thing. I am just looking at the references and trying to figure out. Okay, so right now I am marking the silhouette of this particular area, and I think this is what I'm gonna adjust now. As you can see in the drawing, how much of this silhouette is visible, like the curviness that we have over here. So we need to make sure that we actually get the same thing in our model going on. And that's what I'm doing right now. As you can see, pushing this part in so that we actually get this area like this. And yeah, just looking at the references and trying to make sure that it matches. Now I'm just going to try and get the image from the front, like not from the front, but from the top. And let's push out the wrinkles a bit. As you can see that the wrinkles are supposed to go out a bit. In our case, it's not going, like it is going into the references, so I have to push it out. So let's do it. As you can see, even from the side view, the wrinkles are supposed to go out a bit, right? Which means that I am doing the right thing over here, pushing out the wrinkles. And yeah, this is actually the things that we are just gonna match, pushing out the wrinkles, looking at the silhouettes, basically trying to make sure that the volumes are correct and everything. Again, the process is gonna be the same, and I think for 1.5 hour, I am just gonna be creating this I'm just gonna be adding and subtracting volumes. And as you can see, I've already talked about it that this line, this eye bag, was not at the right place, so I am readjusting it. And you can see the shape of the eye bag from the top. So I am gonna try and match it uh, from this view, and I think this is obviously looking much better. Okay, right now I don't know what I'm looking at. Okay, so we are looking at this volume that you can see, and I think I'm gonna try and add it now. So yeah, I mean there are so many things that you must be looking at that are not matched, and there are so many things that I'm looking at right now that are not matched. But you cannot obviously just fix all of them at once. You're gonna have to go to each and every single one of these areas one by one. And yeah, you must be looking at the reference and the model be like that. There are so many things that could be matched, this and that, and I agree with you. There are so many things that could be matched, but yeah, we can only do it things one at a time, and that's what I'm doing. As you can see, I am adding this line right now. Yeah, this is just how things are gonna work in this video now. I am just gonna keep on correcting all the mistakes that I'm seeing in the sculpt. I'm just gonna keep on trying matching these with the references, and I think that's what I'm gonna do for 1.5 hour. Actually, 8 minutes, almost 9 minutes have already been passed, and I've survived voice overing this content. But yeah, you can like see how I am trying to create a thickness in the eyelid so that there would be cool looking subsurface scattering over there. And yeah, you can see we have to obviously adjust the eye bag area a bit. We are adding this line now. Obviously these are all asymmetrical, like you can clearly see, but it's okay. Just for the sake of marking them, I am just adding them on the nose like this with the symmetry on. I am gonna do that later. Like I am gonna break these lines and create the asymmetry later, but right now we can definitely just have these volumes over here. If you can add something with the symmetry on, definitely add it. Like add as much as you possibly can with the symmetry on before you start doing the pores. And yeah, this is gonna be beneficial basically. And again, I think I'm gonna go at the corner. Yep, I've visited this area so many times, I'm telling you. This is like my kryptonite in this portrait, not gonna lie. I've adjusted this so many times. You have no idea. You're gonna see in the future actually. Okay. Um, so yeah, I was talking about that. Make sure that you match as much as I possibly can with the symmetry on before you start doing the asymmetry. And you can see the area that I've marked. So this is the idea right now to create this flat part, and that's what I'm gonna do. So I am gonna create this volume correctly. You can see how the volume is working. Oh yeah, you can obviously just go into the camera view to actually have those volumes at the right place. Like this part is gonna be bit flatty, a bit flat. So you can just go into the camera view to mark that particular area. So it's gonna be much more accurate to the real thing, like to the reference. I am actually adding this volume because I felt like that the skin of the nostril have gotten a bit too thin. So you can see that I'm actually adding the volume again. And I am not really satisfied with the nose still. Like right now I'm looking at it, I feel like I'm just gonna revisit it again, which I do revisit. So yeah, this is not over. Okay, you can like see it again that I am revisiting this area because this is my kryptonite. Not gonna lie. If it would not have been if I would not have been doing the likeness, trust me, this part would have been already been done. But I don't know. I just does not get the satisfaction with the result the first time that I do it. I just have to revisit these areas again and again and again. But it's okay. It's totally fine. As you can see, the distance that I'm marking needs to be a bit more, and I think that's what I'm gonna adjust now. Yeah, I'm definitely adjusting it. We'll see if it's gonna work or not. Uh, yeah. That's I'm definitely increasing that particular area. Okay, so the front of the nose is definitely asymmetrical, but I am still like trying to match it as much as I possibly can with the symmetry on. But yes, the final shape of the nose is gonna look better once we break up the symmetry. I mean, right now we cannot, but yes, we definitely are gonna be doing that in the future. So, um, again, I've run out of things to say, and is there anything random that I can talk about? Because this video is actually kind of long, I have no idea what to talk right now on other than I'm just looking at the reference and adjusting the volumes. I mean, you can see how I am adjusting the volumes, by the way. Um, okay, so oh, do you know one of the coolest thing? When I was actually creating this course, the idea was to use the textures, like the texture painting mode in Blender to texture him out. But then Blender have released a new version in which you can actually paint out on your vertex. Like if you were to go into a sculpt mode, you can paint out things on your mesh itself. You just have to apply your multi-res modifier, and once they've added that, I was actually so happy because the performance issue you have in the texture paint mode is actually so frustrating. Like I am not gonna show you how frustrating it is in this course. You can like try it yourself. It is so laggy, it is so slow. I mean, it is nothing but frustrations. But when Blender have added that paintbrush in the sculpt mode, it was actually such a big deal for me, and you're gonna see why. It is so performance friendly. It is actually so easy to use, and it just works. It just works. You're gonna see the workflow, and I really wanna say thank to Blender. The only thing that they need to do is to make sure that it works with the multi-res modifier. I think that's gonna do some nice work. Also, one of the things that I really want them to do is, if they can, maybe remove the paint brush itself, and give the option to add paint while you sculpt something. So, for example, let's just say that you are adding vein, for example, in the eyeball. You are sculpting the vein in the eyeball. Maybe give the option to also paint the color with it. You know what I'm saying? And if they were to do these two things, I think they're gonna be much more better of a tool. I mean, in terms of sculpting and painting, obviously. But yes, still, what we have right now is good enough to create excellent portraits, in my opinion. If they were to just add those two things as well, it's gonna be pretty nice. Maybe we should actually do a petition. I don't know. How would you ask for a feature from Blender community? I have no idea. Yeah, but if they can do it, like maybe have multi-resolution modifier enabled while you can sculpt, it's gonna be awesome. Because right now you have to apply the multi-res modifier, which is not really that convenient. Maybe what if you want to go back into the subdivision? You cannot. So yeah, this is something that they should definitely consider doing. And also, the second suggestion, they should also give the option to add colors with the sculpt. So you are simultaneously gonna be able to add the volume and the color. That's gonna also do pretty good things, in my opinion, because I actually needed to sculpt the veins in the eyeball with the color, but I was not able to do it. So that was kind of, it was kind of disappointing, but it's okay. Totally fine. Blender have just recently added this feature, so I'm not gonna ask them to add two or three more features simultaneously, because what they've just added, it works. It works pretty nicely, and I'm not gonna complain. Even though I'm kind of complaining, which is which is weird, but it's just how it is. Okay, so again, I'm just doing the same thing. I'm readjusting all the volumes. um I mean, you've been seeing me doing this for so long. Even I'm seeing me doing this for so long. I really have no idea what to explain right now, and I've just okay. So we're gonna have to adjust the lips. Cool, cool. I've told you're gonna have to revisit these places multiple times. Even after the pause, you're gonna see me adjusting stuff like this. So yeah, okay, that didn't look nice. Okay. Do you know I have a feature list that Blender can, add in their upcoming Blender versions. Like for example, they should do something so that artists can go up to hundreds of millions of polygons. Like they should add a modifier. Like if you are familiar with ZBrush, ZBrush have an HD subdivision mode. I think that's what it's called, and it is so awesome. You basically can subdivide it up to billions, and it still would not affect the performance. I think Blender should consider adding something like this. I think that's gonna make Blender much more industry standard. Like it's gonna be one step closer, because right now in the industry you definitely need the polygons, which Blender does not have the potential to deliver. I'm not like saying anything against Blender. You should always be criticized. Even if you use that particular thing pretty regularly, like some of the things that Blender can do to basically go one step closer to industry standard. Actually, Blender is for if it totally depends on the on the work that you are trying to do. Blender, I'll say, is industry standard in terms of modeling. Like modeling, the polygon modeling is, I think, if you were to start doing polygon modeling, Blender is definitely industry standard. But if you were to start doing, let's just say, sculpting, you can sculpt stylized characters. But if you were to, let's just say, sculpting Thanos, for example, the Thanos would require immense amount of details, right? And if I'm not wrong, they've actually used billions of polygons. Like Blender cannot do that. Blender cannot have billions of polygons in one scene, in one particular object, and still function fine. And yeah, they definitely need to do something, because Blender is a pretty good sculpting software, and there are so many sculpting artists that use Blender. The only drawback is that it actually cannot perform smoothly on higher subdivisions, or not higher, not subdivision, but on higher polygon count. These are some of the things that they should definitely try and fix. Um, but yeah, other than that, you can see right now me creating a portrait that looks pretty detailed. So it's not like Blender cannot do anything. It definitely can do most of the things that a industry would require. But yes, in some of the situation, you have to um, look towards different software to achieve some particular things. But it's okay, it's totally fine. Every software have their journey to reach there, and those old softwares were, by the way, paid, so they had good financial support. But Blender is obviously free, and it actually have achieved so much. So I am kind of happy with it. Me as a character artist can fulfill with Blender. Like I don't really need anything else to create portraits like this. So okay, again, I've run out of topics again. I don't know, until I've come up with something else, I'm gonna have to just say some random stuff like this. So you can see that we are definitely getting closer, right? I mean, I don't know if you can see it. It is a weird thing, by the way. I can always see that we are actually getting closer and closer to the likeness. But whenever I see the work in progress model to my friends, they always are like, nah, 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 it isn't matching, it isn't matching. And I was like, come on, dude, it definitely is matching. Are you blind or what? Maybe you are not. You're gonna have the same opinion if you were to look at this model. But I don't know, I always feel like that we are going in the right direction for some reason. Okay, so you can see, even after so long of sculpting, I am readjusting the camera. So this is something that you are gonna see yourself doing as well, because you've been adjusting so many of the volumes, so many of these shapes. There are gonna be camera adjustments until you go towards the tertiary part of the model, like tertiary shape. But yeah, this is looking actually pretty nice. And okay, so I am actually trying to adjust this fold that is going a bit back. As you can see in the reference, I've drawn the line, and yeah, I have smoothened this part out to create that particular effect. You can see. Okay, so we are at the 24-minute mark in the video, and yeah, an hour is still left. So I'm kind of preparing myself to do this, because man, this is actually super boring to do the voiceover, not gonna lie. Okay, the wrinkles. Yes, we can do the wrinkles right now. But you're gonna see that I'm not really gonna do like the final wrinkles, and I have actually just added the two line, and I'm not even doing the wrinkles. That's the problem with voiceover. I thought that I'm actually about to do the wrinkles, but I haven't really done this. But it's okay. We can just do whatever we are doing right now, which is going to this area again. I've told you, this is my kryptonite. I'm just gonna I'm gonna go to this area so many times. Like, you have no idea. But yes, again, just trying to figure out the silhouette. You can see that from this particular angle, the nose is looking pretty straight. By straight, I meant to say the silhouette of the nose is pretty straight. And if you were to just rotate it slightly, like right now, maybe if I were to just select a reference, you can see that the silhouette actually kind of breaks just a little bit. You can see that there is a dip. Okay, this is gonna show that particular area better. You can see that now the silhouette of the nose is not straight anymore, so this shows how the volumes actually changes, and this also shows how the silhouette actually changes just from the slight rotation of the camera angle. So these are some of the things that you need to make sure that you get right. If you are like sculpting the nose from this angle, you need to make sure that the silhouette is basically similar to this one, like we have in the reference. And once you are done with that, the as soon as you go into the side view, the silhouette of the nose is supposed to be straight. So I really hope that actually made sense. And yeah, we are just gonna continue um, massaging these shapes. Again, I am kind of focusing on this fold that we have over the nasal labial fold. I don't know what this concave shape is called, by the way. Um, but yeah, this is what I'm focusing on right now, apparently. This is definitely not close to the final model, by the way. I can still see so many of the difference from the references. Sorry for the pause. I had to close my air conditioner. It was kind of getting cold here. But yeah, there are so many differences that I can still see. And I mean, you've seen the render. Why am I giving you an excuse? Like, you've seen the render. It is gonna look pretty decent at the end. So yeah, stop judging. Okay. Oh, I've just realized I can talk on pen tablets because the pen tablet that I'm using is a XP pen, and this is not a display one. I'll actually just see the name of this one. It's Star 03, and it's not a display pen tab. It is like the normal Wacom one by pen tab. And if any one of you wondering if I'm using an awesome pen tab, an expensive Cintiq, no, I'm not using an expensive one. This is actually one of the cheapest pen tab that are out there, and yeah, I was actually able to create this with this pen tab. So just in case if you have this question in mind, if you want to go for an expensive or an for an expensive one or a cheaper one, you can definitely just go for a cheaper one. Just look for the size that you want, and it would be okay. Like, I am using I don't know how long it is. I think it is approximately 9 or 10 inches broad, and I think 4 or 5 inches high. I mean, I'm talking about the sculpting area, like the working area, not the sculpting area. So yes, that's the size of my pen tab, and it is not one of the expensive one. Actually, it is one of the most cheapest ones. So yes, you can actually get this result with any of the pen tab. It just needs to be a pen tab and a working one. Other than that, I'll do give you some negative points that I have for this pen tab. If you've used a Wacom before, you're gonna see that the buttons on the Wacoms are so much more easier to press. Like, you don't really need that much amount of force. But if you were to just switch from vacuum to XP pen, you're gonna see that these buttons are actually so much more harder to press. But now that I've used it so many times, I don't really feel that that force that I had to put on in order to press the buttons. But I used to use the vacuum before, and I just wanted to try XP pen when the vacuum one got like it actually not got. I mean, it was still a working pen tab. It's just that the wire of the vacuum pen tab got destroyed. Maybe I have no idea how, but the it was a wire problem, not the pen tab problem. So I had to buy this XP pen one, and as I've switched from the vacuum pen to this one, the pen is pretty nice actually. Not gonna criticize the pen, but the buttons are harder to press. So I was not in the habit to do it. But yeah, after using it for like a week, I don't even realize that I'm pressing a button. I mean, I don't even realize that I had to put the force in to press the button. It just come naturally. So yeah, the buttons are harder, but they are not like super hard. And after a little bit of time, you'll just get used to it. The second thing that I'll say about this pen tab is the right click is kind of weird. In ZBrush, I used to navigate my scene with the right click navigation with the vacuum, and it worked perfectly. But as soon as I've switched to the XP pen after like a week or so, the right click started to behave weirdly. That's why you've seen me in Blender. I've never really used the right click to switch between the brushes. I always just pick up the brushes from the cursor. That's because the right click on the XP pen is kind of weird. I definitely am gonna say that. Obviously, it is not a paid. What do you call it? A sponsored critique. I am just running out of things to say, so I'm just gonna critique the XP pen now. Other than that, it's actually a pretty good pen tab. Other than the right click, it works pretty fine. Also, it have 8 buttons that you can assign things to. I have not really assigned them to anything because primarily use keyboards for basically everything. So yes, you can definitely go for XP pen if you feel like that right click is not really that important for you. At least in my case, maybe a penta that you would receive won't have this problem, but mine definitely did had this problem. And yeah, I'm just gonna say it. You can actually, the vacuum pen tab that I had before was smaller than this, but it was expensive than this one, even though I think this one had more pen pressure points. But honestly, I didn't really felt the difference of those pen pressure points, if I'm being honest. I'm not really sketching anything. I'm not really painting anything. I'm just sculpting. And I think for sculpting, the amount of points that the vacuum had was actually enough. But yes, even though it was smaller, it had less features, it was more expensive, which was kind of weird. But yeah, it didn't really give me any sort of right click problem. And the reason that I had to change it because its wire gotten a bit destroyed, a bit wrecked, so I had to change it because it actually stopped working because of that wire problem. Yeah, other than that, I think there was no reason for me to replace the vacuum. But yeah, you can like try any company that you want, any of the cheaper ones. Just XP1 is also good if you were to just ignore the right click problem. Okay, so now that's the critique of XP pen. Should I actually critique my mouse and keyboard now? I have no idea. Okay, let's see what I'm doing right now because I've been just keep on saying these random stuff. I think okay, so as you can see, even every single image, every single reference, I am making sure that I get the same angle with my model that I have in my reference. and that just helps to figure out if the proportions and the distance between things are right or wrong. But yeah, right now I'm only looking at the volumes, not at the proportions. So you can see I am adjusting like the eyes, for example. I am like removing some of these volumes, and also I am running out of words again. How many times am I gonna say that? I have no idea. I know this can potentially be a bit boring, but I actually don't know how many times I'm gonna say this same thing. Yeah, again you can see that I'm going back at the nose to make sure that it actually works symmetrically, which it is not gonna work. You're gonna see that in the future I am gonna apply the symmetry and then do the both nostrils separately. But yes, right now if I were to just change one, the other one also gets changed, and then that one is gonna get offsetted from its original self. So there's no way you can actually adjust both nostrils and they both start matching. This is something that you have to just accept. So okay, right now again you can see the same area that I've told you I'm gonna revisit. I am again in that area. But yeah, um, I mean, I really hope that the concept is clear, the process is clear actually, how I am like approaching these things. I really hope that you won't say that I am not explaining each and every step, because each and every steps are pretty much the same steps right now. I am only looking at the volumes, and you can judge the volumes on your own. If I were to start drawing, for example, the volumes, it's gonna be pretty long of a tutorial, and trust me, we both would get bored. So I think it's better to just look at the volumes on your own and figure out why I am adding or removing these stuff. Also, I'm not again. I'm a slow sculptor. I just revisit each and every single one of these areas again and again and again. So sometimes it does actually get a bit confusing. But yes, you can like see how I am adjusting these things and why would I be adjusting them. Maybe you'd feel a bit weird if I'm adding or removing the volume, because you are seeing things differently and it's totally fine. You just need to make sure that your judgmental skills are good enough that you can uh, do the likeness. The point is you have to rely on your own for the volumes, and you have to make sure that you can figure out if the volume is concave or convex. And after figuring that out, you need to make sure that you are actually getting the right amount of volume at the right place. Through the camera view you can just mark your volumes like I've done with the nose, and you've seen it, right? You can use the camera to like mark the volumes, and then you have to just judge on your own how much of the volume needs to be added. So yeah, this is more of a volume thing and the proportion thing, nothing else. The proportions can be matched from the camera, and you can mark your volume, like for example, if there is a dimple, for example, on a face, not a dimple, let's just say pimple actually. You can actually just mark that pimple from the camera view, but you still have to be you still have to judge on your own how much of the volume needs to be added. So that's basically what I'm saying. As you can see, I have just removed some of the cheek volumes, and yeah, I think I'm gonna add that later because I personally feel like that I've removed a bit too much. But we are gonna see in the future, maybe I'm not gonna remove it. I might be wrong right now. Sometimes you see things differently from like I am. It's the same me who's working, but I might actually be looking at different things. Again, back to my favorite area. I'm telling you, this is just not gonna end. And I've actually told you the reason, right? The reason is again the nose is not symmetrical, but yeah, we'll see, we'll see. It is actually also hard to figure out when you need to stop in the symmetry, and when it is time to basically break the symmetry. This is also one of those things that you need to judge on your own. Judge that, okay, I'm done with the symmetry on. I need to break the symmetry in order to progress. So this is basically going to be the time when you have to, break up the symmetry, and that is also going to be the time when you have to add the pores. But yes, this is also one of the most important decision. Like, when do you think that there is no process, not process but progress possible? Once you figure it out that there is no way I can progress from here, that is the time you actually have to break the symmetry. In my case, I think there is a whole lot of things left to do, and that's why I'm not breaking up the symmetry right now. So yeah, these are some of the things that you need to make sure that you get correctly. And right now you can see, like, even right now there are so many things that are wrong in the sculpt, and that's why I am just keep on going. Like, maybe you are a faster sculptor, and maybe you will be able to get to this area in like 2 hours, for example, or maybe 1.5 hours. Maybe you will be able to break the symmetry after 1.5 hours. It is totally fine. I've told you I'm just a slow sculptor, and that's just how it is. But yes, once we are done with the symmetry part, it is definitely gonna get interesting, because after the symmetry we are gonna be adding the pores, and then we are gonna be, creating all those small little wrinkles. We're gonna be working on the skin, so that is gonna be pretty exciting. Right now this is exciting as well, but the thing is, this is pretty repetitive, so it is hard to do a commentary on what I'm doing. Like, you can see what I'm doing, and the reason is also pretty clear. I thought that there needed to be more volume, so I'm adding more volume, and I thought that there need to be less of a volume, so I'm removing the volume. Nothing else I am like doing here. So yeah, I could have marked each and every single volume for you, but that just doesn't make sense. I've already shown you how I look at the volumes, right? Previously in the previous video. So, yeah, I don't think it actually makes sense to mark each and every single one of these volumes. Otherwise, this course would have just gone to, like, instead of approximately 55 or 60 hours to, I don't know, 100 hours maybe. I mean, and that just does not make sense. By the way, I'm gonna create a course where that course is gonna be for the beginner. So if you don't know how to sculpt, even if you don't know how to sculpt, that course is gonna benefit you. And I am gonna create a portrait in that one also, not gonna go to the body. And in that portrait, we are not gonna be doing the likeness, only only the like only the anatomy stuff, and some of the skin stuff. So I am gonna be adding the skin part in that course as well. But yes, that course is gonna be beginner friendly as well, so that you will be able to get the confidence. Oh yes, by the way, I have not told you why we approach the manual way, right? The reason that we are doing everything manually, this is also one of the reason, not the reason, but this is one of the thing that I have not talked about. So let's actually talk about it. The reason that we are going to be adding the pores individually, and the way that we are going to be doing it, I mean, you've seen the trailer, you know how we are going to add the pores. The reason we are going to do that way is pretty simple. If you can achieve the result that we are going to achieve with a manual process, you should actually be able to achieve anything if you were to start using textures from for example texturing xyz, right? If you can do this amount of work on your own without the third party textures, without the third party plugins, it would be so much more easier for you to create a decent looking portrait with the use of texturing xyz, right? or the third party textures. I mean, imagine, it would be so much easier for you if you wanted to, fix a model which have a whole lot of details, because you already know how to create those details manually. So if you were to come across a model that needs fixing, and you have no other way of doing it but manually, you can do that manually without having to feel like that, no man, it is like too much detailed, I might not be able to do it, because you've already have added that much amount of detailed manually. So you must have that confidence in yourself to basically fix anything, even with the textures or without the texture, because you know how the skin work, and the manual workflow. So that's, I feel like, is the reason it is like like one of the most important to do it this way. You obviously can use the texturing XYZ maps, I'm not against it. I'm just saying, if you can do it this way, it would be so much easier for do it with the texturing XYZ maps or something similar maps. You get the idea, right? I mean, texturing XYZ are not the only website that provide you with those maps. You can also get those with 3dscanstore.com, and there are multiple places, by the way. I'm just giving an example. Also, one of the things that Chris Costa, I think, have said it is, if you can do it manually, you're gonna feel much more proud on your own. I mean, you'll feel that because you've done everything on your own, you're gonna be feeling much more proud, right? And you're gonna tell everyone that, this, you look at this pore, I've sculpted that myself. I've not used any of the third party textures. Can you do that? And that guy's gonna say no, and you're gonna be like, huh, I am much more superior than you. So that's gonna be a feeling, right? So because of all of this stuff, I think it is like pretty important to learn this method as well. And once you start figuring this method out, like once you start sculpting more and more and more, this is not gonna feel like it is super long of a method. uh, in your first two or three project, it might feel like that it is taking like super long, but trust me, once you start getting the habit of adding pores, once you start getting the habit of adding colors, the process is just not gonna look super long. It is just gonna come naturally, and you'll be able to create portraits pretty frequently. So yep, it's not something that bad in terms of timing. And obviously, if you are working in the production, they're going to provide you with all the scans, all the details. You just have to clean all those stuff up, and because you already know how to manually do it, it would be so much more easier to do it with all the resources that you're going to get. So that's basically the idea, and that's basically why in this course I am choosing this method. Now, in the future, I might actually use all those textures to create a portrait. But yes, for some time, for some basically for few next courses, I am just gonna try and use the similar workflow, and gonna start doing something for beginners as well. And yeah, this is basically it. After that talk, as you can see that I have started adding these lines, and obviously gonna open the reference on the side, because it does get easier to match it when you have the reference opened. Again, how long have the videos been? 49 minutes. That's pretty cool. I'm constantly thinking about the points that I can talk on. Like, for example, I've talked on the pen tab. I can talk on my mouse. My scroll wheel has just gotten stopped working, so that's also a point that I can talk on. I cannot zoom in or zoom out nicely. I mean, it is kind of an effort to even zoom in on an image. So I need to replace the mouse. I need to replace it. This is a local mouse actually. It's I don't even know what the name of the mouse is. But yes, it did serve its purpose, and now I think it's time to replace it. I don't know which mouse should I get it, by the way. Like I could get a gaming mouse or a normal one. I feel like that the gaming mouse is gonna be a better option because I also play Fortnite. So by the way, I also play chess. So for that, I definitely need a gaming mouse because you might have to do a whole lot of pre moves. You know what I'm saying? If you play chess, you know what I'm saying. So for chess, I definitely need to have a gaming mouse. Okay. Um, right now, as you can see that I am kind of adding these secondary forms just a little bit, not that much, because I know these forms are not gonna be present in the left side of the face. But yes, I mean, this video is I think 40 minutes more long, so I feel like that after that I am gonna be breaking up the symmetry. I don't really remember if I have more videos with the symmetry on or off. But yes, this video, after this video, we'll see if there is more sculpting or we are going to be breaking up the symmetry. But before breaking up the symmetry, we have to do the pose. So yes. Oh, okay, now I am adding this volume. You can clearly see how this volume is going, right, and why I am adding this volume. You can clearly see, like, if I were to mark this volume, I have not really marked the volume, but you can actually see the idea behind me adding this volume, right? So these are some of the stuff that I don't know how to explain. I might actually use EpiPen for the next course. I should have used it in this course as well, but I had no idea that a software like that exists. So I am gonna use the EpiPen for the next course definitely, because that course is gonna be pretty beginner friendly. And if you are someone who want to create a portrait but struggling to create a decent looking human face, that course is gonna be for you. So yeah, but yes, you can see how I am adding these volumes. And like you can see that after adjusting from the one side, it definitely breaks from the different side. I'm talking about the nostrils. So yes, the nostrils are not symmetrical, that's for sure. Even I am just keep on doing it. I'm adjusting it from the left side and then readjusting it from the right side. Right now I'm seeing myself, it kind of looks dumb, not gonna lie. But yeah, I'm again at my favorite area. You can see, like, you can literally, there should be a counter on how many times I've visited this area, you know. Like, I'm telling you, this area is actually my kryptonite. It is like my Mary Jane, you know. If I'm Spider-Man, Mary Jane is my weakness because she always gets in between the fight, and then, you know, I have to now fight the villain and also save her simultaneously. I mean, she should be at home, you know. I'm telling you, why does she even involve, you know? She only makes harder for Spider-Man to beat the villain. Seriously. I mean, just stay at home or do whatever you want. Like, literally, don't do whatever you want. Just don't come in between the fight. Okay, I'm not a misogynist. I'm not saying that you should be at home. I'm saying that just do whatever you want. Just cheat on me. I mean, I'm talking about from Spider-Man perspective. Just cheat on me. Just don't come in between the fight. Like, what are you doing? Now you are making it harder. So yeah, this area is kind of like Mary Jane for Spider-Man for me. And you're gonna see that I am gonna revisit this area. Oh, okay. Uh, okay, so now I have started adding these wrinkles. Obviously, these are not gonna be like accurate for both the corner of the eyes because the wrinkles are going to be different. But these are here right now. Just, I don't know. I think they're gonna help in the likeness a bit. Obviously, you cannot break the symmetry, and the wrinkles on both side are gonna be different. So I'm not really gonna go into the details of the wrinkles. I'm just gonna do a little bit of this wrinkle stuff, and not really going to give that much amount of time. But yes, this is something that I am doing, and yep. On the other side, it is definitely gonna be changed, but I am still doing it because it is not really gonna take that long, and because it's also fun, adding volume like this is fun, and yes, it is also obviously going to contribute towards the likeness as well, and yeah, that's basically I'm adding it. As you can see, some of these lines that you have on the cheekbones, you can obviously add these as well, but I personally feel like that these lines are there because I think he's kind of squinting, even though it does not look like he is. I might actually remove these lines a bit later. He's kind of looking like Eren right now. If you've seen Attack on Titan, these lines kind of look like a Eren Yeager. But yeah, um, after that you can like see I'm just like adding the volumes, and this is where you can see why the camera, like why adding camera actually benefits us. You can like literally mark where you want the volumes to be added, so that's pretty nice. Okay, so right now, what I am looking at is I feel like that the bridge of the nose is a bit too thin, and in the future I am gonna be broadening that part up. Right now I'm not doing it, but yes, definitely in the future I am gonna do that. um yeah, only trying to figure out the volumes that would make sense without I mean with the symmetry. So that's basically what the focus is right now. By the way, I was talking about the mic. This mic is not really that good. If you feel like you have a mic, I mean, I really like to have a collar mic because I actually move around a lot while I am recording or sculpting. And if I were to use a normal mic like a podcast mic, you know, the distance between me and the mic is just gonna change pretty frequently, and the audio is not gonna be consistent, and that's why I kind of like to have a collar mic. So yeah, if a collar mic would work, I am definitely gonna get one, but yeah, this mic is definitely not really that great. I'm not gonna tell you the mic's name. It's like one of the cheapest one out there, but yeah, it does actually kind of do its job. If you are like super close to it, it just works if you are like super close to it, but it's okay. So we are getting closer to the likeness, and I have also checked whether we have another video or not. Actually, it's not 1.5 hour, it's more than that. Now I need to check how much more minute are gonna get added. I mean, you obviously knew because you can see the length of the video, but yes, I cannot see that right now. I am gonna add the clip later, but right now it is 1.5 hour long, and you must be like thinking, wait a minute, why is he saying 1.5 hour when it is actually more than that? Well, I had no idea there is another clip. So yep, that's basically it. Now as you can see, I am pushing out the cheekbone a bit, and Blender is kind of behaving weirdly when when you're zooming in. Blender does do that sometimes. Sometimes it just zoom in a bit too much, like it literally zooms and at the atomic level, literally, like you are looking at your model with the microscope. I don't know why it does that. It's not like that big of a deal, but still, I mean, I have no idea what triggers it. Okay, so here is the benefit of digital sculpting. You can just go back subdivision and start adding some of the details, and as you can see, the lines actually stays. So a method like this is not gonna ruin your like tertiary forms. In this case, these are, I'm gonna say, primary forms. But yes, if you have these wrinkles, you can always go back to the subdivision. Like, wait, that's not how you would say, to go back a subdivision or two, and you can always add or subtract the volume and the primary forms would not get affected. Yeah. Okay, so again, adjusting the lip. Now, right now, I cannot break the symmetry as you can see in the lip. Also, the detail part is gonna be done after the pores. I mean, you technically can do it right now, but most of the time, you want these details on the lips to be asymmetrical, and because of that, I really does not recommend you to do it before you break the symmetry, because maybe the lips are asymmetrical, and in our case, the lips are actually asymmetrical. So that's the reason we are not really adding any detail on the lips. Now he is definitely closer. I feel like the eyes need a little bit of work. The eyes are kind of looking weird right now. But yeah, we are actually getting closer. There is some weirdness in his face right now, which was not there before. So I have to fix it. I mean, the eye, the past eye. You know what I'm saying? The past self of me needs to fix it because he's kind of looking weird right now, but it's okay. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be able to fix it because the render is decent. I mean, the future me, which is like the me, it knows that the render turned out to be decent enough. So I am gonna say decent. I'm not gonna say great or good, because then you're gonna be like, I am like saying my own render to be good and great, and I don't really wanna hear you say that. But yes. Okay, so again, you can see that I'm adjusting the camera a bit, and you can like literally see at what point I'm doing it, and it is totally fine. You can like do that whenever you want. It's not like that you. It's not a rule that you cannot do the camera change after a little bit of time. In this case, I've did it, so yeah, and you can also do it as well. Now this part is obviously a bit weird. As you can see, this part is supposed to be yep, I am pushing it out, and I think this part could potentially be not at the right place. Like if I were to switch the yep you, if I were to switch the camera view, you can see how this is looking. So I am pretty sure this is like the focal length issue. The cameras are not like matched perfectly, and because of that, this area is looking like this. Yeah, you can see. I think it is a bit behind, and I am gonna, yeah, it is a bit behind. And as you can see, I am adding this. Oh, wait. Okay, I accidentally must have pressed the space button there, but this area, this volume is actually a bit behind. Uh, I think that's what I've judged. I mean, that's what I'm judging right now, and that's what my past self have also judged, as you can see. So I am adding this volume a bit behind the eye socket, and actually this is the part of the eye socket. If you were to like realize the anatomy of a sculpt, this is basically how the eye socket goes around. But yeah, we'll see how it would look. Okay, as you can see how the volume is coming down from the side view, and I need to obviously adjust the camera a bit. This is not looking that good. So yeah, the adjustment definitely is needed, and from the side view we can actually change so many of this stuff. Like you can see how many of this stuff is not matched, so we are gonna be changing that. As you can see, I am pushing back the eye wrinkles. Also, I feel like that the nose could get a bit forward, I think, or maybe not. I am just like judging myself right now, but yeah. I am adding a bit more volume on the cheekbone, and yeah, this volume needs to get fixed. This is actually looking a bit weird, so I'm just gonna uh, do a skin. kind of a transition thing. And if this wrinkle were to continue, this is gonna look better. That's why I am actually gonna sculpt a wrinkle so that it looks a bit more natural, because right now it is not looking natural. So yeah. Also, this part is definitely looking weird. I'm gonna have to fix it. Like, this is not how a human face is supposed to look like. But yeah, if you were to change something so drastically, like we've changed right now, things are actually gonna get messed up, and you're gonna have to try to fix that. And that's what I'm doing right now. Actually, I'm trying to fix this weird face thing, like weird eye socket thing. And yeah, I mean, that's again, that is the process, and it's totally fine. If you were to mess something up, don't you worry. We are we can always just go back the subdivision and just fix all these bigger shapes. Again, the privileges of doing sculpting digitally. So, yep. Oh, by the way, I am thinking of talking about Blender and what it could, what it could basically give in terms of tools. So, for example, right now there are two things that Blender really needs to make sure that it actually gets right. And one of those things is the texturing workflow. Right now, the way you texture on an object is actually way too slow. Like, if you don't have a really, really good PC, you cannot really texture your objects like pretty smoothly. So I think they should actually consider working on that particular side. I mean, right now I personally feel like that they are adding a bit too much. Okay, this statement that I'm about to give, it could be like, it could be criticized, but I feel like instead of you know giving us so many of the features that, like, literally, I personally feel like only 10% of the people use. I think they should focus more on improving texturing workflow, for example. And also, I personally feel like that the simulation system in Blender is also not that great. So I think they definitely should try and improve that. But yeah, I was actually thinking if they can actually use something that the Mari use. If you ever used Mari, you know how the Mari works with so much UDIMs and so much like high detailed texture. If maybe Blender can try to implement that in Blender, it's gonna be pretty nice. So yeah, I think they should definitely try and improve all these functions, like not functions, but these workflows, because right now texturing in Blender is pretty slow. If you were to use the image texture in terms of texturing, in this course we are not going to be using the image texture, by the way. We are going to be just using the polygon paint, or whatever you call it in Blender. It's just a paintbrush, and you can like paint on your sculpted mesh. Obviously you have to apply the multi-res modifier for it, but yes, it is pretty smooth and it works like magnificently. So that's also a positive point. We obviously should not always look at the negative points, but yes, if there is something out there that is already, pretty easy to use and it have a different workflow, maybe we should try and implement that in Blender. Maybe that would actually make Blender a bit better as well. So yeah, I mean, there are so many things that you can just copy from other software, if I'm being honest, and I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, if you are an artist and you see that Blender have copied a function from different software, you're not gonna be like, well, I'm not gonna use Blender from it copied this particular feature from different software, right? I mean, you are getting this feature for free. And if you think about it, most like 90, I'm gonna say 95% of the features in every 3D softwares are same. Maybe not 95, but 90. Like, all the polygonal modeling is pretty much the same. You have the same tools like edge loop, extrude, etc., etc. So I think 90% of the softwares are free. So I don't really think it's like anything bad to just copy from the different software. Now, the thing is, because you are gonna get that particular feature for free, you should not really think whether this feature is basically a copy from different software or not. That's what I feel like. If you are allowed legally to do it, I think you should just do it, right? Because I mean, again, if you are an artist, you're not gonna worry about whether this feature is an original feature or it is a copied feature. I mean, you are getting the feature for free, so why not just use it? And in the end, it is just making the Blender a better software. And yeah, I think that's what my opinion on what Blender should do. I mean, if they can just, if there is a feature out there, why not just try to implement it, right? Like for example, Blender have remeshing, and now they have tried adding the remeshing feature in Blender as well. I am gonna say it is not as good as Blender's Z remesher, but yes, they've implemented the same idea, and they just now need to make it a bit better so that you as an artist basically gets more control on the Z remesher side. Sorry, not Z remesher, but the voxel remesh. I think it is called voxel remesh, right? Or something like this. I actually don't remember. I don't really remember it because I actually don't use it. It's not. I feel like it's not that good. But yeah, I think they should try and make it a bit better. Give more options. Give more control. Like for example, maybe give an option to use annotation so that the annotation can guide your edge loops. I think that way it would be a much more controlled remesh. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in ZBrush, I'm actually taking the reference from the ZBrush. In ZBrush, you can draw the curves, and that curves could basically guide ZBrush so that it would try to give edge loops according to those curves. So maybe in Blender, instead of curves, you can use annotations. And yeah, these are some of the things that Blender can improve. If you feel like that you have a feature in mind, let me know. I mean, obviously, I don't think you're gonna let me know, but I'm still gonna say it because it kind of feels cool. It kind of feels like I'm a YouTuber now. Let's see. We have passed the 1 hour mark, so that's pretty nice. We are at the 1 hour and approximately 12 minutes. And as you can see, I'm still at the nose, which means I'm revisiting it again and again. So yeah, this is one of those things that's never going to like, unless I break the symmetry, I am like constantly gonna revisit these areas. And after I am happy with the symmetrical likeness, and I feel like that it is time to break the symmetry, you're gonna see that the revisiting part of one particular area is just gonna decrease pretty much, pretty significantly, basically. So yeah, whenever, or maybe it's just my thing, I might actually be not that good of a sculptor. Actually, not good. I think I am decent, but not fast. Yeah, if this was not for the likeness, trust me, I would have like completed this phase way early, way quickly. But yes, because we are actually doing the likeness, I need to make sure that everything matches, obviously as much as I possibly can. I'm not gonna say that this is gonna be 100% matched, but yes, as much as I can try to do it. Okay, so yeah, again, I'm just picking up the image. This is not really something new, but yeah. Okay, as you can see right now, I don't really think the cheeks that I've sculpted are looking good enough, but yeah, right now I'm working on the nose. So okay, so I think I'm gonna look for, yeah, I kind of figured it out. I'm gonna look for this particular image. I think this image is pretty useful actually. I've never really had, like, when I made the Chris Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth is on my YouTube channel, not the sculpting process, but the hairs. When I made Chris Hemsworth, I actually didn't had a view like this, and I think this view really helped me a lot. Not gonna lie, I had no idea that this view is gonna help. It was something different, so I just took the screenshot. But yeah, this view is actually pretty useful. Okay, you can see that I'm fixing the nose. I think the nose is looking pretty good, but I'm still just like working on it. But yeah, okay, right now you can see the volume that I'm trying to add, right? You can like see in the shadows, like in the contrast of shadow and the light. I mean, I have changed the image, so you might not be able to look at it now, but you get the idea. Okay, I really wanna know how much, like you can see. I really wanna know your perspective. Like, what are the things that you would have changed right now? Like, is there a better workflow that you feel like you can suggest? Because right now, I personally feel like if you are doing everything manually, by the way, I think this is one of the best workflow. If you are doing everything manually, obviously, if you are using textures from XYZ, for example, this is obviously not one of the best workflow out there. I mean, instead of doing the pores, you can literally just break the symmetry, if I'm being honest. And actually, using their base mesh is also gonna be pretty, I think, what do you call it? Profitable? Not profitable. But using their beneficial, actually using their base mesh is gonna be also beneficial because you can just sculpt that particular base mesh, and then because the UVs are gonna be UVs are gonna be same, you can just use the displacement map, and you are automatically gonna get those details, like you don't even have to texture paint anything. So that's also one of the benefit from those websites. I think 3dscanstore.com also provide you with those base meshes. So maybe those are from 3D Scan Store. I actually cannot remember. Either the XYZ or the 3D Scan Store give you those base meshes. I mean, 3D Store definitely does give you, because the base mesh that I'm using is from the 3D Scan Store. So yeah. Uh, I might actually do a course on using those textures in the portrait, but I don't know when. Are you guys open to buy a texture from third party website to create your portrait? Let me know that, right? Maybe you are only here so that you actually don't have to spend any money creating your portrait. But if you are open to create a portrait using like third party textures, so yeah, let me know. Okay, so I am like trying to, thinking about what else I can speak of. And this is actually kind of, this is actually so hard to think of all the points that that I can possibly think of. But yeah, I mean, instead of saying, as you can see, I am changing the lips, like, you know what I'm doing. I personally feel like there is no explanation of what I'm doing and why I am doing this, because you know the workflow, you know that I'm trying to match as close as I possibly can. As you can see that I've literally made the lips a bit weird, so I'm gonna have to fix them now. But yeah, just going into the camera view to see if the silhouette is matching, and if the volumes are matching, and then trying to basically just match that as much as I possibly can. That's what I'm doing right now. Okay, I mean, he definitely does not look as good right now, but trust me, we are gonna get there. Like I am seeing him right now, I feel like really we are actually gonna achieve the likeness or not, because right now I feel like there is an essence of him, but yes, he's definitely far away from what we want him to look like. Okay, as you can see that the lips are a bit above. From both the references, we could have seen that the lips were a bit above. So that's why I was pulling down the lips a bit, because from both the references the lips were above, right? So it was a common point in both of those images, and that's why I've like pushed them down. Can you push someone down, by the way? I think if you push and they were to just fall, you technically have pushed them down. Okay. I'm not even gonna like I'm not even gonna try to make sense out of that sentence, but yeah. Okay, so as you can see again, using the camera to basically see where this volume is supposed to be. So that's actually one of the best benefit of using the cameras, right? You basically know exactly where you wanna add or subtract the volume from. Instead of just doing the guesswork, the only guesswork would be how much of the volume you wanna add or subtract. But yes, the actual place of that volume is pretty much gonna be referenced from the camera. And I'm saying camera, I actually meant to say the background image that we've set up with the camera. You get the idea, right? You've been watching me for so long, you know that I am a kind of weirdo, so it's okay. um okay, as you can see, this particular area needs to come out a bit, and that's what I'm doing right now. So yeah, these are like some of the things you need to make sure that you get it right. Like some of the volumes are like super important. For example, the volumes around the mouth is pretty important. I am gonna say that all the primary forms are important. Otherwise, your face is not really gonna look like human. Like you have to make sure that you get your anatomy and your primary shapes right. Otherwise, the face is just not gonna look decent. So yeah, try to basically get these forms right. Even if you are not like for example, even if you are not able to achieve the likeness, at least get your anatomy right first, and trust me, it's gonna be much more easier to like get the likeness. If you were to just use this workflow, if you are just using your eyes, maybe without setting up the cameras like this, and you are a beginner, you definitely can do the likeness as well. There are people who can do it, and I think I personally can do it as well. I've never really tried. I always set up these cameras like this to do the to do the likeness, because I personally feel like this is like much more easier way to do it. So yeah, I feel like it takes less time for me to do this way. Even though I'm a slow sculptor, I don't know how many times I've said it, by the way, a slow sculptor. But yes, using cameras like this definitely help, and it's not definitely cheating. Like you can say it is cheating, but I personally feel like it's not, because in the end you are adding all those volumes on your own. Like how many times you've seen me going into the camera? I think if I'm sculpting and like until the sculpting is done, I think 30% of the workflow is gonna be me going like looking through the camera, and 70% of the time is just me looking at the volumes like I'm doing right now. So yeah, for that 30% you cannot just say that you only use the cameras and you've cheated, so we are not gonna consider this likeness, right? Again, I've like completed my point. Now I have to think about what else I can talk about. This is actually so hard. Like try to make a video for an hour long and do something like this repetitive. I mean, it's actually hard. Like right now I'm revisiting this area, and I am like trying to add this volume. I think the idea here is to, okay, I think the focal length right now is a bit too low. That's why you can see how much perspective distortion there is on the face. I think, I mean, not I think, but I'm at the lips, but I don't know if I'm actually gonna continue sculpting it or not. Right now, I could have actually made these wrinkles. I don't know when I am gonna be doing it. Even though the wrinkles are not really being seen in the renders, I could have like skipped the beard part, but I still did it, and it's okay. It's like totally fine. It didn't really took that long. I think it was better do it because I was able to explain to you how you'd be able to create the skin for the neck. So I think that's pretty useful. Pretty useful. Right now you can see this part. I'm looking at the reference, and I think I'm making it a bit too sharp. I didn't really had to do this that sharp, but yes, this is gonna get fixed in the future. Um, yeah, again, I've run out of words. So, I think I should like create a list now, before start doing a voiceover, like the points that I could talk on. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm like super lazy to do it. So, yeah, I actually am like a bit too much lazy to do that. And yeah, again, you can see that I'm matching the angle and try to see what is like what are some of the things that are different in the reference and what are the things that are like different in the models. So yeah, just trying to match it again. Like I would have explained it to you, like I'm looking at this, looking at that, but I've already told you, like I'm just trying to match the silhouette. So I don't think it is something that I really need to explain. You can like see I am trying to match the silhouette of the nose, right? And because the right and the left nose are different, like not the nose but the nostrils are different, it is just gonna mess things up. And from the right side you can see that it is pretty much matched, actually, like pretty much matched. But yes, there are some stuff that still could have been a bit better. Okay, maybe I'm gonna do that in future. As you can see that the nostril and the bottom part of the nose are pretty straight. In my case they are not, so I think that's something that I'm gonna change in the future. I really hope so, by the way. I don't know if I'm gonna do it or not. Like you can clearly see the altitude difference between, like if you were to think on the z-axis from the perspective of blender, you can see the bottom part of the nose and bottom part of the nostril, like the edge of the nostril, they are pretty much on the same altitude. So this is also one of those things that I need to change. Maybe I'm gonna do that later, by the way. If I were to not do it, this is something that I am looking at right now, and this is gonna be just a mistake if I were to forget doing that in the course. So yeah, you are learning and I'm learning. I've told you we both gonna learn from it. But there is a difference. I am gonna get paid if you are gonna learn, and yeah, it is gonna be free for me technically. Actually, I am gonna get paid for learning. So this is pretty interesting. I've never really had to. I've always had to pay in order to learn. This is gonna be first time that I'm learning and also getting paid. Okay, you can definitely see this part is a bit too above now that I'm looking at it, but I don't know if my past self is gonna realize it right now. I mean, I'm really realizing it right now. I don't know why my past self is not realizing it. I think he's definitely gonna realize it in the future. Again, focusing on the nostrils, not really thinking about the entire area, the bigger shapes, the shape of and the position of the nostrils. Like I should have fixed it, by the way. It is looking super weird. Not gonna lie. I am gonna say it first, by the way, that this is kinda wrong. But yeah, you are seeing the mistakes that I am making, so maybe it's actually better. I could have not like said all this stuff. I could have like hide it from you, but you can see how you can analyze your own 3D models. And I think this is happening because right now I have basically taken a break from sculpting. This also happens when you are sculpting something for so long, and you basically stop seeing all this stuff. But as soon as you take a break and you come back to the sculpt, you're gonna realize that okay, these are some of the things that I was not seeing before. And it turned out to be that taking that break was actually beneficial. And you must have seen this statement from multiple artists that if you are creating a sculpt, taking a break in between is like one of the best things you can do for you and for your sculpt, because sometimes you just stop seeing this stuff. And once you are out, once you basically take a walk or do whatever you like to do in your break, you come back after that and you start seeing stuff like this. So yeah, I think right now I am seeing this because it's just a break. Like I've stopped sculpting him, the render is there. The project is finished, obviously. So I am actually, I it's just a break. I took a break and now I'm seeing all this stuff.